let's do a little winners and losers while we wait for Bill, who's still doing HQ duty. I think we're all in agreement. All you and I are both in agreement that Steph Curry is a massive winner from this. LeBron is a massive winner. You give me a winner, I'll go winner, and then we'll do a loser.
Well, let's do Devin Booker, right? Like, I didn't think Devin Booker was going to start, or I didn't think he was going to be like, I thought Ant was going to be ahead of him in the pecking order. And there were even moments where I sort of thought going into the exhibitions, does it maybe make sense to play Halliburton over him, right? Because like his skill set and Ant's are pretty duplicative, and Ant is just like a little bit better at defense, at like the things that you need for Team USA. Mm-hmm. He was the closer in the two biggest games. He has so much respect from the other players on this team and from Steve Kerr. It made me reevaluate a little bit. Like, have I been too low on Devin Booker? And if you think about the Suns roster, right, where they have Durant, they have Beal, having a third star, and he's the second star on that team, really, but like having one of those three stars able to take a little bit of a backseat on offense and do the dirty work, that's really, really helpful. And I think I'm going to come away from this tournament having gained more respect for Devin Booker than any other player on the team.
Yeah, you know what? I was kind of surprised too, because when they decided to put KD into the starting lineup, I figured they'd just leave Drew put and take Booker out, and they decided to take Drew off, and which spelled doom for Derek White in the final game. But it ended up working out, and you're absolutely right. Devin Booker played great. He had a great tournament, and the same thing. Like I'm not like super high on Devin Booker generally, but I am higher on him than I was before this tournament started. So. Yes, he's a winner for sure. I'm gonna do something that's gonna annoy producer Aaron here and give a winner to Steve Kerr, because Steve Kerr he took more incoming in this tournament than Steve Kerr. Everybody was angry at him for all of his decisions, and guess what? They won the gold. I mean, literally, Jason Tatum's mom and dad were on Twitter complaining about Steve Kerr not playing their child. Look, Steve Kerr has won 5 championships as a player, 4 more as a coach, NBA championships, and now has led Team USA to a gold medal. He's had an unbelievable career. And you might look, the Serbia game, you, me, Bill, we were talking about his rotations, and I was like, okay, there's some quirky things here that are happening that I wasn't exactly in love with. But he had good coaches next to him. It's not like they weren't talking, and he was like, I'm not listening to you, Spo, and I'm not listening to you, Ty Lue. I'm going to just do my own thing. I think he's a very good coach. I think the hate has gone too far. Now he's an Olympic gold medalist. And for all the people who hate Steve Kerr, this is what you get. Steve Kerr right in your face.
Coaching Team USA is a really thankless job.
Thankless.
Right? Like it's a harder job than anybody thinks, because, oh, you have all this talent. Well, you don't have any time with them. You get them like 2 weeks before the tournament starts. You barely get to practice. You have all these egos to manage. You're going to get criticized no matter what. And God forbid if you lose, that's like a stain on your resume forever. I don't even think the coaches get gold medals. Somebody will have to confirm that for me, but
I don't right. No, that can't be right.
I don't think they get an actual physical medal. I think it's just the athletes that do. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
You're right, because in other sports they don't, right?
I don't
think in other sports they don't. Like, it's not like the diving coach gets one for the 10-meter platform.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's a pretty thankless job. It's a job if I were a head coach I wouldn't want to do. Like we criticize Kerr a lot. There are things that he deserved some criticism for, but like he led them undefeated through probably the hardest Olympic field that there's ever been. If you stack up the 11 other teams in this field compared to every other, like, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 of the best 11 or 12 came from this tournament. Yeah, we have confirmation from producer Aaron. No medals for the coaches, which I don't like, but it just adds how thankless it is.
For team sports like basketball, where the coach is integral, or soccer, I'd think that they should get them as opposed to. I get it though. You're not going to give it to the high jump coach, right? Yeah. So I get it. Well, anyway, I am happy to be in the position of being the Steve Kerr defender on this program, because everybody else hates on him, and I think it's gone too far. And Steve Kerr just keeps winning. He's a winning coach. I'm thrilled for Steve, and also he's just a nice dude. He's one of the most professional people I've ever interviewed and interacted with, and he's really thoughtful and smart. And I'm like full mark Steve Kerr. All right, give me a loser.
I mean, it would have been easy to say Embiid before the Serbia game. Like, I guess we have to say Tatum, right? Like,
yeah, we have to say Tatum.
I think what really happened more than anything was Serbia is not a wing heavy team. So it didn't make sense to play him against Serbia, at least not that much. And then the shot just wasn't falling for most of the tournament, right? Like, I don't think we're going to leave this tournament saying Jason Tatum is a bad shooter. But if the shot isn't falling and it's gotten a little bit worse in the NBA lately, and you don't have matchups that make much sense, like, at the very least, Tatum is like now at a point where he's not an automatic play for Team USA with all this talent. Like, I think he's maybe the 5th or 6th best player in the NBA. I'm not taking that away from him, but like, it says something that Steve Kerr had this guy in the building for all of the practices, all of the exhibitions, and decided in 2 of the biggest games of the tournament, I don't want to play him. Now, would they have won if they'd played Tatum against Serbia? Like, I still think so. Like, I probably would have put him on the floor, but he's somebody that, given being the best player on a champion, being, one of the 5 or 6 best players in the NBA, first team all NBA, you would think that his stature now would be close to where LeBron's and Durant's and Curry's at, like where they are. And those were the guys who were playing all the minutes, and Tatum could not have been further from that.
Yeah. It's a bummer when, if you're Jason Tatum, you're in the conversation for finals MVP, you win a championship, the 18th in organization's history, you get a Supermax contract that'll make you the richest player in NBA history. And then you spend the entire Olympic run being marginalized and sitting on the bench. And on top of that, to add to the indignity, your mom and dad complain about your playing time on social media. That, to me, like, I want to just go winner one more time for Philadelphia and people like me who love to hate all things Boston. Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a gift from the gods. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mom and Dad Tatum, who I'm sure are super nice people and must really love their son. But that was a gift. You might as well have just wrapped it and sent it right to my house. Thank you so much for that.
Can we call the Celtics as a team a loser? Because you also have the Jaylen Brown stuff.
Yes.
And like, look, I'm not trying to sow discord within the Boston Celtics. I'm just saying, like, if there was going to be a locker room civil war there, Tatum and Jaylen barely playing in the Olympics and White and Holiday playing integral roles, like, that would maybe be the start of it. I don't think so. Like, I think they're still the championship favorites, but like, sure, let's throw a grenade into that locker room and see what happens.
I am not a conspiracy theorist. I generally don't go in for those things. That's Ashley's role on this show. I wish you were here because I have one. Are you aware of the conspiracy theory that Spo got together with Kern and was like, just throw me a little bone here. We don't really need Tatum. Let's sow a little discord.
It's genius, right? Because if you looked at it purely from the Kerr angle, he's in the West. He has nothing to gain. He's not going to face the Celtics in the finals. But Spo, like, the Heat could win 25 games and somehow they would find themselves on the same side of the bracket as the Celtics. Like, it's just voodoo magic at this point, right? So, you know what? Maybe it was the Spo thing.
It's very, very funny. I'm trying. I guess we'd have to. Producer Aaron wants to throw out that that Draymond was a winner because he flew to France just to hate watch Rudy Gobert and Embiid, and then he also ends up in Steph's iconic night photo, which is fantastic. We'd have to throw out Rudy as a loser on this one too because he did play more today. What did he play? 12 minutes, I believe. Yeah, he played 12 minutes. He took one shot. I don't think he was particularly effective. And on top of that, did you see Ant trash talking him? That was fun.
Well, yeah, that's talk about another locker room issue we might have after this.
Yeah,
but I guess Kobe and Powell were fine, so Ant and Rudy will be fine too. From the Gobert standpoint, though, like, sometimes you think about passing the baton with these national teams. It feels like they just ripped it out of Rudy's hand and gave it to Wemby, right? Like, because Rudy was the leader of the team that won silver in Tokyo 3 years ago. Like, Rudy is still the defensive player of the year in the NBA. Like, his stature as a great basketball player is not really in question, but he was just taken out of the rotation basically for the semifinals and the quarterfinals, played, a lot less than we would have expected today. And I think there was some thought coming into this tournament that, like, France's signature mode of playing was going to be the Twin Towers with Wemby and with Rudy, and their way of winning was going to be, well, we're just going to take away the paint entirely. We hope you make a bunch of threes. Well, now you look ahead to 2028 and, like, is Rudy just, like, not on the team? Is he the backup center? Lasor was more important than him. Like, we haven't even really talked about Gershon Yabusele, who, like, it's fun. I was trying to find an NBA team for him. And I
told you the Sixers have a spot open.
I was thinking about your Sixers, and then I thought to myself, Well, they only have minimums available to spend, and I don't know if Gershon Yabusele is a minimum player.
Wow. I mean, well, he hasn't played in the NBA though since what? Like it was like 18-19 was his last season,
It's
right? With
been
the
a
Celtics.
while.
That's what I mean. Like this is one of those things now. If you're Yabusele and you just had like the tournament of your life and the game of your life in the biggest stage that you probably ever played on, well, most significant for you. I would parlay that into an NBA ticket immediately and take whatever I could because you've been out of the league for a while. You're probably going to make more money overseas, but I'd rather be in the NBA and like rejuice my career a little bit.
If you think you're like a good playable role player in the NBA, which I think Yabusele, like the guy I saw in this tournament is, like he can help a good team. What might make sense for him is to sign a 1-year deal with a contender where you can get minutes, play deep into the playoffs. And like, if you're good, now you're talking about a deal where you're making 8 figures every year, right? Like it doesn't really make sense for Yabusele to sign like a multi-year deal in the NBA because that's just money that he could get in Europe anyway. But if he could like get a foothold and quickly establish value, then as a free agent in 25 or 26, he could maybe cash in because like I look at him and at the very least, you see a lot of the Kenneth Faried stuff where the motor is so high. He's so strong inside, but he's also got a little bit of a shot. He can defend. Like you could tell me he was the 8th man for the Sixers on like a real playoff run. Sure, I'd buy that.